She's dead. Wrapped in plastic.
Welcome to the Twin Peaks Podcast.
Damn good coffee. And hot. Would everyone please take a seat?
Welcome to the Twin Peaks Podcast. My name's Matt.
I am Melanie.
I'm stepping time.
I'm Caitlin.
And
I'm Sam.
Sam. Yes.
Yay! I didn't even have to introduce.
He knows the drill.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're a long-time listener, right, Sam?
Wait, aren't you guys supposed to like clap and stuff for me?
Yay!
Is that okay?
Yeah. That was a good catch.
All right, thank you.
Nothing gets past him. Yeah, you've listened to it for quite a while, haven't you?
Yeah, kind of since the old days, I guess around 2011 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah. When Mel and I went to the 2014 Twin Peaks Fest, you were the first person to recognize us.
You guys are famous.
Well, you made us feel that way, yeah. And you've been a Twin Peaks fan for how long?
Not that long compared to some other people. Probably since about the time you guys started your podcast, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, so about the same as Mel and I. And
right on.
So what do you think of this season so far? I believe you emailed us once.
Yeah, that was kind of hilarious because wasn't it the guy who runs Welcome to TwinPeaks.com who got to read my feedback?
Yeah. Yeah.
I felt sort of bad for him after that. But,
I mean, he's happy in the way that he feels about it, so.
Well, that's good. He's got his. So.
Yes,
but I started off this new series kind of lukewarm, I guess, and then it gradually got a lot better, and then took an epic dive into the abyss for part 8, and then quickly rebounded in part 9, and it's been pretty good ever since.
Okay, yeah, that's more of a moderate stance. You're not loving it, you're not hating it.
There are certain aspects that I really, really like, and others I'm kind of about, and then of course part 8, I guess I'm in the camp that just did not like it.
Yeah, we are a very small camp.
Yeah, we're basically like a tent.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So you were at the Twin Peaks Fest this year, right? 2014, and then this year, 2017.
Yeah, this is my second time, and that's not even impressive. I mean, there are people there that have gone 8, 10 years, and a couple that have gone every single fest. So going twice is kind of like they don't even know who I am, you know?
Well, Caitlin, you are like a name in the Twin Peaks community, aren't you? Aren't you the moderator of Reddit?
Am I? Well, I am a moderator of Reddit. I guess I'm probably one of the more active ones, especially on other podcasts and going to events and things like that. But I think there are like 6 of us on there who have various responsibilities.
Oh, okay. Cool. Caitlin, you wanted to know about the 2017 fest. Is there anything specific?
She wants to know the gossip.
Give us all the gossip,
Yeah.
Sam.
No, I don't know, what kind of new stuff was there this year? Was it a completely different crowd? What's going on?
There was a really good mix of first-timers and return, attendees like me. But then as far as the celebrities go, it was kind of the same. There were some of the same people you see every year, like Kimmy Robertson and Charlotte Stewart. And then some brand new people, like Christabel was there. I believe his name, John Piricello, I think is his name. He actually wasn't an announced guest, and he just sort of showed up, very Chad-like.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, yeah. How did they, because a lot of, I guess, people like Kimmy Robertson who've been going for years, kind of, I don't know, probably feels like the homie for them. How did the new people seem?
It was pretty awesome, actually. And in fact, one of the new people that was there, his name's, I'm going to butcher his last name, but it's James Grixani, I think.
Yeah.
He plays Deputy Jesse Halcombe, the one who's always staring off into space and such.
Or making poses. We call him Officer Pose.
Officer Pose, yeah, Officer Pose. He's a Seattle native, and he was kind of adorable. Like during the celebrity Q&A banquet, All the fans show up with their cameras and smartphones, and they want to get their pictures taken with all the celebrities. But he actually brought his girlfriend along with a camera so that she could take pictures of him with all the fans.
Aww. Adorable.
So I was talking to him, and suddenly he's like, "Can I get a picture with you?"
We're turning the tables on people.
Yeah, he's totally shocked by the whole experience, I think.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, yeah.
Cool. Alright, so do you guys want to get into episode 14? I mean, part 14? Part. Gotta be specific, it's part.
It's part of an 18-hour movie, never forget.
Never forget.
Hey, at the end of this part, I was like hoping it would continue. I was like, oh no, we're at the Roadhouse, it's over already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was one of those times where they're faking us out, and it's like, it's the Roadhouse, it's the end. No, not really. But it was. Alright, we'll start at the beginning, though. So, Gordon calls Twin Peaks right away. That's where
Finally.
Yeah. Finally, some intermingling of storylines.
I love that Gordon doesn't give a shit about Lucy's vacation, though.
Is it that he doesn't give a shit, or he just didn't
just
understand what she said, or?
It's just like,
Bora Bora.
why did she even go into the vacation in the first place?
Well, Lucy, she likes to talk.
Yeah.
Well, it was like she thought he meant that she hadn't even left the police station in a full 25 years.
Oh, yeah. She
That's
probably
funny.
did take it literally, you're right.
She's like, no, I did go to Bora Bora.
I just like that he waited for her to kind of, make the move. Like, he wasn't going to be like, hey, can I speak? Like, you can do this now.
He didn't want to take over her receptionist duties.
No. At first I was like, he met her like twice, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Would he remember her? I don't know. And would she remember him? But they do remember each other. And I guess they were expecting his call because Twin Peaks, we learned, called him. Frank called Gordon about the Palmer case and the diary pages, and that might indicate two Coopers. And Cole is very appreciative of this.
I do like that Frank is like, just alright, this happened. It's gonna sound weird, but Hawk found some diary pages from Laura Palmer. I don't know if that means anything to you, but it said there might be two Coopers. I don't know what that is, but there you go.
That is the most awkward phone conversation to, make, I wanted to tell you this really weird thing.
Because, it's the fact that everyone else is, kind of on the level with knowing about all the weird stuff going on, but Frank Truman's always like, alright, I'm just tagging along. So what do we do?
He's been taking it very well, yeah.
Like a regular old Truman should. Tagging along.
Yeah. Exactly.
He was pretty chintzy on the details, though, to be honest. I mean, he only really mentioned the pages. He didn't mention anything about the key that Ben Horn received or anything like that.
He should have. Well, I don't know. What could come from that?
I don't know. I just thought maybe there'd be a little bit more that Cole would want to know.
Yeah. Well, he probably got enough. Then we go...
He had enough of that.
Yeah. Then we go to Albert and Tammy, and Albert's relaying the story of Blue Rose case number 1. What'd you guys think?
I just want to step in here and say that I feel like Albert has become what you used to refer to as Exposition Malcolm in this scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of has.
Can we talk about the amount of technology they brought with them? First of all, that plane was already stocked with, all the wines, but apparently it's stocked with an entire FBI, tech division.
Yeah, they're kind of like the Borg, and, they set up in a room and then just begin to take it over with their tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they have an entire server in that room.
At least.
But what do we think of Albert giving exposition? Is it bad? Is it good?
I think he pulls it off.
Yeah, I think so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Better than Nicholas Love did.
Yeah.
And Tammy's acting a lot less weird as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So what's your all's feeling on Tammy up to this point? I know there's been some mixed feelings amongst, I guess, all the fans.
I think if I hadn't listened to the audiobook of Secret History of Twin Peaks, I'd be fine with her. Maybe not fine, but I wouldn't be as down on the performance as I am, because listening to that book just gave me a complete different expectation of who Tammy Preston is.
Well, that book also gives you an entire different expectation for what the show's going to be as well. Because if you're following it that she put all that together before this, then she's got a lot more information going in, but they keep telling her these similar stories. Well, because this is not that different from the other story they told her.
I have a couple points, I guess, about that that I gathered from the fest, as well as a question about the timeline. I'm not sure exactly what year the series is supposed to be taking place, but I believe in the book, The Secret History, wasn't it 2016? Wasn't the year that all this stuff was stamped for Tammy Preston?
I can't remember now.
I think it was, and a lot of people have speculated that the show is maybe taking place in 2014 or 15, so that would mean that the book takes place later. Yeah, I don't really know how that all works, but that's the thing, I guess.
But if that's the case, that probably means we won't get any resolution out of this series, because there's a lot of questions in the book.
Final dossier doesn't mean anything to you,
Oh,
man.
jeez.
But one thing I learned from Christabel herself regarding her acting was that apart from her music videos and some kung fu movie she did when she was 18, this is the first thing she's ever done. And interestingly, do you guys remember that scene where she was interrogating Matthew Lillard?
Yep.
Yeah.
That really emotional scene. According to her, that was the first Twin Peaks scene she ever filmed. So can you imagine going into a room like that?
Yeah, that would be kind of overwhelming.
So I at least give her some kudos for not screwing up her lines. I guess they only had to do it 2 times. But then I had another. So regarding kind of Mark Frost's involvement in the writing of the series, I was speaking with Sabrina Sutherland, who's the producer on the show, and she said that David Lynch and Mark Frost wrote the series, of course, to a point. They handed it off to Showtime. Mark went off to write The Secret History, and then there was that whole drama where David quit and then came back.
Yeah.
So after they extended the show, it wasn't that they took 8 or 9 episodes or whatever and extended it to 18 and just stretched all the scenes out, although it might feel like that sometimes. Apparently David Lynch actually just continued writing, so I feel like that's maybe shifted the writing responsibility more toward David Lynch than Mark Frost, so that might be why some of the stuff from The Secret History isn't exactly adding up as much in the show now. I'm not sure.
So a lot of scenes have no involvement from Mark Frost then?
That's what it sounds like.
It shows. It shows.
We'll have to play a game of spot the David Lynch scene in the future.
spot the Mark Frost scene.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to derail that.
No, that's interesting.
I want to say in this scene, though, I thought Christabel looked like she should be in Lord of the Rings. She looks very elfish.
She's good posture.
Yeah, she's very tall. She's got kind of those features, very pale skin. I don't know. She would fit perfectly.
So what did we learn about case number 1 of the Blue Rose case? It's basically a woman shot her doppelganger and then hung herself?
I think so.
Yeah.
So what was the last story we heard about the Blue Rose stuff?
It was named after the dying words of a woman, and this is that.
Yeah,
I'm like the Blue Rose.
Why are we getting? Why is that not all one scene? Why are we having 2 separate scenes about that?
Yeah, they could have done that. Maybe they didn't want to overload Tammy. I love the window cleaner attack.
Oh yeah.
So we're fans of this, the window cleaner.
I am totally
I thought
fan
it
of
was
that.
hilarious.
Yes.
What does it mean?
Nothing.
It doesn't mean anything. It just it's like that. It looked like he was behind schedule or something. He just dropped it. He's frantically did it, and then he moved on, and he's
a window ninja.
Windows. Yeah, he's like a window ninja, and he skipped all the windows around it. He just did that one window.
It was a nice wacky moment that didn't last too long. So
exactly.
And
I loved it.
Just the visual of his
He just
silhouette.
looked like a bug man. Just
Yeah.
Aww. I like the one last squeak that he gave. You think it's done, but then.
So with the whole doppelganger incident there, Gordon and Jeffries were the 2 people who investigated that. So then Diane comes in and they ask her about her last night with Cooper and ask if he mentioned Briggs to her. And she says yes, and then they tell her the Briggs story, and we learn that Diane is half-sisters with Janie.
What a coincidence.
It was pretty shocking.
Did anyone guess that? I've never heard anyone guess that.
No.
I didn't see it coming, but after hearing it, I did roll my eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, this seems a little too perfect.
I know.
I almost, and I know I shouldn't be trying to predict anything about this show, but I'm wondering if maybe this whole thing with Diane and Evil Coop, maybe he's blackmailing her somehow because she knows that the real Coop is Dougie, and so I don't know.
I wasn't sure if she ever met Dougie. Like I think she might have just like heard that her half-sister married someone named Douglas Jones.
Yeah, because there's no way she would meet him and not be like...
Cooper.
He looks like Cooper, but it could have been like a Clark Kent situation where you just don't know.
Wearing glasses.
Puts the glasses on, puts the wig on. What? Who are you?
40 pounds in the gut.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think that's probably likely. I just want... Because, like, this whole thing with her and, like, Evil Coop, like, somehow working together or something, it's just so bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if maybe, like, I don't know, she knows that like real Coop is safe as Dougie with her half sister, and Evil Coop is, I don't know, threatening her sister or something. I don't know, or threatening Coop, and this is her only way of keeping some eye on that situation. I don't know. I'm trying to connect straws here, guys. I'm trying.
You're struggling.
Well, this episode had the most straws connected, I think. But yeah, it's good to keep trying to connect the rest of them. So then they call the Las Vegas FBI office. And
Stan from Mad Men. That's all I have to say.
Oh, did you recognize him, Mel?
Huh?
Stan from Mad Men.
Stan.
Yeah, Stan Rizzo, who gets with Peggy Olsen at the end of the series.
Mel
Spoiler alert.
Series, and I have
Oh, I've watched it. I don't remember this.
Yeah, the FBI agent who was sitting behind the desk who started pounding on it, he plays a guy named Stan toward the end of the series in Mad Men. I thought it was fun.
I didn't recognize him because
when we
watch Twin Peaks, when we watch Twin Peaks, it's on your computer monitor. It's very tiny.
Yeah. But yeah, they're tasked with looking up Douglas Jones, in which there are 23 of them in Las Vegas.
Why does Cole just say Douglas Jones? Why didn't it say Douglas Jones married to Jane E. Jones?
Didn't he? Did he?
No, he just said Douglas and Mrs. Douglas Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck.
He should have specified that. Give us something to go on.
This is why the investigation is going so slow.
They're not thorough enough.
No.
But I don't know what to think of that guy freaking out at his subordinate.
I didn't like it.
I thought it was funny in an acting sense.
It was like over the top.
Like, how many times do I have to tell you? This is what we do with the FBI. But it was like funny, but I don't know if I liked it.
No, it didn't work for me. The squeegee guy worked. That one did not.
Squeegees are okay.
And then Gordon Cole relays another Monica Bellucci dream.
Of course.
In Paris, of course. Gotta get that France money.
Yeah. You think David Lynch just wanted a free trip to Paris?
I think he just wanted to meet Monica Bellucci.
That too, yeah. Yes. That too.
Both things.
Two birds.
Yeah. So she says the famous dreamer phrase, which is that from something?
It's like an ancient famous phrase. What?
I forgot to look it up. Anyone heard this dreamer quote before? It seems familiar to me.
I have not. No, not me.
And we get some scenes of Gordon seeing himself in that scene with Bowie from Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah.
And Mel,
did you notice
Oh.
Did you notice that was not David Bowie's actual voice, though?
That's what I was going to ask Mel about, because she read...
Yeah, because I thought it sounded funnier than usual.
Funnier?
Yeah, because his accent is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But it did sound funnier than usual, and then I spotted someone on Facebook posted about it, about how they hired a voice actor to do Bowie's lines. And they changed it slightly, too.
They changed the word this to that?
Yeah.
Who this is, or who that is, or something like that?
Yeah.
And we're like, why? But
yeah.
The only thing I can think is maybe there's going to be more Philip Jeffries later, and they want to establish this guy's voice as Philip Jeffries.
Or maybe they just couldn't separate the vocals from the background track.
True. Yeah, that's possible too. But they should have a clean take of that, because, I mean, they had the missing pieces. They made the whole deleted scenes.
I don't think this makes any sense to me, really, but it crossed my mind that maybe they had the rights to, use his image but not his voice for some reason. I have no idea why that would have been the case, but who knows?
I maybe they just didn't have a good... Maybe the audio quality just wasn't up to David Lynch's standards, because,
it's not up to his ominous whooshing standards.
Exactly.
Well, I thought because I heard the just a slight word change, I thought maybe he was trying to George Lucas this, and it just got... it has to be just so.
I'm not here to talk about Judith. Wait a minute.
I always meant for him to say that instead of this. Now I can fix it.
Stop, George, stop.
They've been hanging out.
Yeah. He remembers that Philip kind of pointed the finger at Coop, and that's significant now, but yeah, it wasn't back then. Which I'm glad they brought that back, because that was always a significant thing. Jeffrey's point.
Yeah, he remembered Lucy from the sheriff's station, but did not remember Bowie pointing until Monica Bellucci told him.
Right.
So, thanks, Monica Bellucci.
It's bizarre how much of the plot of this series revolves around Briggs and Jeffries.
I know. I kind of love that part of it. That they use these characters who they, by all rights, shouldn't be able to use easily.
Yeah.
But they're like making them integral. So then we go to Twin Peaks, and they're packing some lunches, some meat and cheese lunches, or just cheese.
Or just cheese. Yeah.
It almost seemed like Hawk was like grossed out by the just cheese sandwich.
Well, if it's toasted cheese, it's okay, but if it's like just cold cheese and cold bread, it's kind of gross.
Yeah, shit sticks to the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my mom would make for me when I was a kid, and she's like, I don't want to make you a lunch, just cheese and bread.
Yep, cheese, bread, and butter.
Matt,
it's just like,
you
just try to dig it off the roof of your mouth. Yeah.
You're still bitter about it.
Yep. It's disgusting.
Maybe Andy's a vegetarian.
Maybe. And then they just pull their guns on Chad.
It's about time.
Yeah. Which
I think this was one of the scenes that I personally didn't think worked very well once they started to arrest Chad, because it seemed like really awful, stereotypical and overdone, like being arrested dialogue, like you're making a big mistake, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So bad.
What if they were, though? What if Chad's got a doppelganger, guys?
So I was thinking about this earlier today, about all the bad guys / evil forces in the show that have to be taken care of. And so I wrote them all down as they came to me here. We've got 4 episodes left, and we've still got to take care of the Woodsman, Mr. C, Duncan Todd, Sarah Palmer, the Experiment / Mother Monster, Hutch and Chantel, Richard Horn, maybe Bob, Steven maybe, Red, the Frogmouth thing, the cop, the crooked cops in Las Vegas.
Why did you pick such a small post-it to write
I don't know. Maybe the doppelganger of the arm, maybe the sick people, maybe Philip Jeffries is bad. So yeah, we've got all those evil / bad guys to take care of in 4 episodes, and so far we've just taken care of Chad.
1 down.
80 to go.
And I'm trying to think of how Twin Peaks handles its bad guys, getting rid of its bad guys.
Away.
I'm like, you can't shoot all these people. Like, traditionally, Twin Peaks doesn't shoot people.
They just line them up like Jean Reno and shoot all of them.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll just line them all up and give them one green-fisted punch.
Yes.
I wonder if that's like the Green Lantern's glove he lost it. Anyways, I think for like a lot of the supernatural baddies though, that they're kind of just always there, like the people in the lodge and stuff. You know, there'll just be that balance of like the good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah,
I think it's very possible the woodsman could get taken out when the owls finally come back into the picture.
Yeah,
I'm really upset. I'm really upset we haven't seen owls, guys.
Yeah, there's
that's
been
another
one
bad
owl.
Guy. That's another bad guy, Matt.
Possibly.
Yeah,
bad guy.
I think that's the thing that was on the map. The owl, and Hawk's like, you don't want to know about that dude.
There was only one owl, and it was in Las Vegas.
And we only heard it in passing.
I have to tell you the most frightening thing that happened to me. Okay. My parents had been away on vacation, and then they came back, and so I went into their garage to just take out the garbage, and all of a sudden there's a huge bird in the garage, and there was, but it was just a plastic owl that for some reason my dad had placed in the garage, and it terrified me.
Amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. Were you wearing your glasses?
I was wearing my glasses, but I had first seen it at my peripheral vision, and it didn't strike me that there was weird that there was a big bird in the garage. I was just concerned that it was going to get into the house.
Yeah.
That's kind of like when we lived at your parents' Matt, and I had this giant plastic alligator, and I used to put it out in the yard, and whenever your dad mowed the lawn, he'd get terrified by it.
Alligator! But yeah, peripheral vision in low light situations and stuff like that is a recipe for seeing shit that's not there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told this story before, but one time I woke up really early in the morning, like 5 a.m. to go hiking, so I was like bleary-eyed or whatever, and I didn't have my glasses, and it was bad lighting. It was still dark out.
4 in the morning.
Yeah, 4 in the morning or something like that, and I saw something running away from me in the corner of my eye, and to me it looked like a garden gnome running away, facing me but running backwards away from me, like just retreating into the darkness. And I was like, I almost shit my pants, and then I was like, Mel, what is that? And like, thank God she saw it before it was gone. She's like, it's a skunk. And then I was like, just in a flash, my mind, now that it knew what it was, it turned it into a skunk. I was like, oh yeah, it is a skunk. But if she wasn't there, I would have forever thought that I saw a garden gnome running backwards into the woods.
So this is what happened to Michael J. Anderson.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's how ghost stories happen, people.
Yes.
Devo.
So then we go into the woods. Hooray.
Take a hike.
We get my woods I love so much. We get lots of shots of them hiking.
These are really nice shots. It's a shame we didn't have a nicer TV to watch this on.
And the first night we watched it, the program was stuttering and the quality was all fuzzy. But it was better today. But I was taking notes today, so I couldn't watch. So then, they make it to Jack Rabbit's palace in the woods, and people are saying that they think this distinctive tree trunk looks like that castle that the fireman lives in the purple ocean. I think it kind of does. It's got the same shape.
And the camera's placed kind of at the same angle, kind of looking up at it.
Yeah. So they probably modeled that after this stump. So that's kind of neat, if that's actually a thing, and we're not just imagining it.
All right. I'll accept it.
And then they have to put soil in their pockets, and they go 250 yards to the due east, I believe. 253 yards.
I really love that it's Andy that's remembering that they have to do this.
Yeah.
He's very courteous.
I know.
Guys, don't forget to put the soil in your pants.
He's by the book.
Yes. But
except for when it comes to tracking down people who mow down children.
Oh, yeah, right.
Every other time, though, he's by the book.
He'd rather shop for a chair. But yeah, what did you guys think of this whole thing, them walking through the woods? Were you like anticipating something big happening, or did you think it was going to lead nowhere again?
I'm kind of surprised it happened in this episode. I thought for sure we'd be stretching that out till the end.
So did I.
I'm very glad something happened, but I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Did not expect Naido to appear after falling through space.
She's okay.
She's okay. She's naked, and she still doesn't have eyes. Which
I was kind of hoping she would have Cooper's shoes with her.
Oh yeah, that would have been awesome.
Just a naked lady wearing men's shoes.
Did they show her feet? I don't remember.
Yeah, they did.
Aww.
They don't seem freaked out by the look of her face. I don't know.
It's Twin Peaks, man.
Yeah.
At this point, nothing is surprising.
And there's a weird insert shot of a weird pool of liquid, which is not in the establishing shot. So I don't know where that's supposed to be. If that's supposed to be at their feet, they are looking down, but you don't see it in the wide shot.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess I was not.
It's your small TV.
Yeah.
I think the people have speculated online that I've seen that the color of that pool of liquid, I guess, is indicative of where the White Lodge entrances are, just like how the oil is indicative of where the Black Lodge entrances are.
That's what I was thinking too. So I was like, so Black Lodge gets black sludge, White Lodge gets brown sludge?
It's like kind of gold colored, maybe.
Didn't you think too that the vortex was a different color?
Oh yeah, was the middle of the middle of this vortex was white? Was the middle of the one that Gordon saw black?
I thought it was the same, but...
And that sort of throws the kibosh on that whole idea, because the woodsmen don't seem very friendly, and if they're hanging out up in the White Lodge, in those vortexes in the sky...
Well, this vortex led to a good place, but the one that Gordon saw led to a bad place, and I'm just wondering...
we have many vortexes.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the vortex that Gordon saw was black in the middle. I just forgot to check.
Yeah.
So Andy, of all people, gets sucked in.
Yeah.
I was very concerned. I was like, don't take Andy. Come on.
The vortex knows what it's doing, Brad.
Yeah, I was just glad he wasn't there for very long. See, that's Andy gets in there and gets it done.
He watched the abbreviated version of Twin Peaks and then left.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I was just scared for all of these characters that I was afraid a hobo was going to come out and crush one of their heads, and I don't want to see that.
No, we've seen enough. We've seen enough violence.
Well, not just violence in general, but I don't want to see one of these specific people die.
No.
If you had to kill one of them, take Frank. But still, I don't want to see him die either, really.
No, I like Frank because he just sort of goes along with everything. Andy comes out of the woods with Naido and they don't remember what happened, but he's like, hey, we got to take this chick. And he's like, okay.
When you said he goes along with everything, I just pictured a woodsman starting to crush his head and people rushing to help him. And he's like, no, it's all right. I'll go with it. So yeah, Andy meets the fireman, which is the giant.
Oh, by the way, I'm checking right now, and the vortex that Gordon sees is black in the middle.
Nice.
Ooh.
So yeah, if there's a white vortex and it's trying to suck you up, jump on in, everyone.
I don't know, it looks pretty boring.
Yeah, I'm still not going.
So yeah, Andy gets the Cliff Notes version of everything we've seen through that skylight above his head. And I don't know what he's holding in his lap. What is that supposed to be?
It looks like a giant pine cone or something.
Idea.
I thought
It looks like a little stack house or something.
It's like a science project, like a high school science, like the volcano,
like the volcano, baking soda and the vinegar.
I wonder if...
Oh, Caitlin, you cut out.
Oh, sorry. In Harry Potter, you know how I don't know if you're familiar with Harry Potter. Are you guys familiar with Harry Potter?
I watched all
What's that?
Watched all the movies once.
Okay, so they have they can extract memories from their heads with wands, and then they have a special cauldron, I guess, that you can put them in and
a pensieve.
Memories. A pensieve. Thank you. You know it. Okay. And so it kind of looked like the smoke coming out from there was like the what was being projected onto the big screen or whatever. So I feel like maybe it's the fireman just translating all his memories into the screen. I mean, transposing them.
Yeah. You mean Harry Potter influenced David Lynch?
Don't tell him I said that.
What? So yeah, he sees the experiment birthing Bob and the convenience store and the woodsman and Laura Palmer and Angels and Two Coopers. But what is that Lucy and Andy thing that he sees?
That's what I want to know.
Maybe his love for Lucy's just so strong that it just has influenced Twin Peaks for the better.
But what are we seeing exactly? He just like ushers her into a room and leaves her there.
And maybe it's the future.
He puts her in the room and nobody ever sees her again.
He's sacrificing her. I don't know.
It's definitely nothing we've seen yet.
Right.
And then as quickly as he came, he's zipped out of there. And everyone meets back at Jack Rabbit's palace, and nobody remembers anything but Andy. And he kind of like takes charge, and he's all confident and shit.
Yeah,
it's pretty rad.
It is. I don't know if it's going to stay or not, but I hope it does.
I think we do need to point something out as well regarding the instructions given by Major Briggs. The time that you could arrive at this Jack Rabbit's place was October 1st and or October 2nd.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they went on October 1st, so I'm wondering, is someone else going to go on October 2nd? Will we see more people attempt to see what this place is about?
Or maybe someone else will pop out on October 2nd? Like
yeah, there's just bodies falling out every day.
Palmer, maybe?
Yeah, where is she?
She obviously still has something to do with the story, because she popped up in the...
She's in every credit sequence.
Yeah, and that too, yeah. So.
And yeah, she popped up in this month.
She popped up in the, yeah.
Are we sure this isn't like the late portion of season 2, though, where we see her face at the end of every episode, but nobody's talking about her anymore?
Could be.
That's what it feels like, yeah.
So, back at the jail, they put Nido in some PJs, and they put her in his cell for her own safety. And Chad is in there, and there's like a sick guy repeating everything. He looks to be... Oh, they call him drunk. But yeah, that's not all that's wrong with him.
Maybe it's Billy.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, at the end of the episode.
He's not credited as Billy at the end.
Oh.
Yet.
Maybe it's a secret.
No. Maybe he's Bing.
Bing?
Bing's not a thing.
Bing is not a thing.
No. It was a typed out subtitle from that one episode.
This is the best scene, by the way. I think of the whole episode. This is my favorite.
Yeah.
I can't get over the gross guy. He disturbs me. What do you like?
I love that Chad has been put into basically hell. He's gonna have to be there all night listening to this chick make monkey noises and then be repeated by this drunk guy.
Speaking of monkey noises, do we think this is Judy?
She's Judy?
Yeah.
The monkey?
She's not. Nido is Judy?
Yeah.
The monkey from Fire Walk With Me? Or the monkey that says Judy?
Because they said that Judy was Josie's sister, so...
Well, that was like I don't know if that was a fan theory or if that was an actual script.
Well, someone actually came out, like one of the people that worked on the script, right? They actually came out and admitted to it.
Oh, that Judy was supposed to be Josie's sister?
Yeah.
Was that Bob Engels?
Yeah.
I think it may have been.
Yeah. Which is why I'm thinking that maybe it is Judy, or it's just making reference to Judy.
Yeah. By the way, are we ever going to find out what that noise is in the Great Northern?
No.
Are we going to find
what's James going to find?
Oh, you think he's going to find something?
I think that's what he was investigating down by the furnaces, but I guess that's a little bit in the future here.
Well, it's the next scene, basically, kind of. The next scene...
we have to talk about the superhero glove Hulk hand, though.
Yes.
So, yeah, I was calling that the Hulk hand, too, and I thought it was just... So, like, the story is he got sucked up into the White Lodge, the fireman told him to buy this green glove and then go to Twin Peaks. But I thought it would be much more funny if he actually told him to buy one of those Hulk hands, like the actual licensed, oversized Hulk hand that makes the electronic noises and stuff. Put that on his hand, and that's fused to his hand, and now he has Hulk power in one hand.
He can never use his hand for anything again.
Yeah, it's always closed in a fist, but yeah, he's got Hulk strength.
He's just pulverizing walnuts with his Hulk hand.
He just
pounding them.
It was dreadful. I was trying to clean a chimney, I was, and then all of a sudden, me hand destroyed a chimney.
What'd you say about this guy?
I didn't think his accent was real.
No?
No.
It sounded...
It is legit real.
Yeah,
Is
it sounded
it?
real
Is
to
it?
me.
It just sounded so...
Oh, it's the most extreme. It's the most extreme.
He's
Well,
just
actually,
exceedingly British.
if you look that guy up on YouTube, he's got a bunch of different videos where he tries out different accents from around the world, and he can pull off accents from everywhere, basically. So maybe it's not his natural accent, but it is an accent.
Yeah.
He is British.
Oh yeah, he's just leaning into it though. He's really leaning into it.
Yes.
I enjoy this guy though.
I thought maybe it was the same guy that did the voice of the "Hello, Johnny. How are you today?" Do you guys think?
I hope so.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of his story that he tells James?
It is the longest, most explicit story I think we've heard so far. And I have to say this is a Mark Frost scene personally, because like I feel like we get all this real long period of strangeness from David Lynch, and then every now and then he'd like drop a scene in there where there's just a ton of information that we probably should have known. And I feel like that's probably Mark Frost.
I liked it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Can we talk for a second about the fireman?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden he's the fireman now. What's this? What's this about?
Yeah,
He's also really explicit. Like he told Freddy exactly what he needed to know, but he tells nobody else exactly what they need to know.
Right. Yeah.
Huh.
And yeah, he said something about his flat, and I wonder if that's just him using what he would call it, or if the fireman actually said flat, like if he changes his words up if he's talking to an international audience.
Does the fireman kind of like change into a British chap?
Yeah. He turns into a chimneyman.
Can we stop saying fireman? Until 24 hours ago, no one had ever said the word fireman on this show.
Well, he was credited as the fireman in the last time we saw him, I think in episode 8.
Really?
Yeah.
But he was credited as question mark in the very first.
In the very
episode.
first one, he was question mark. Yeah.
What? So Giant's just out now. We're just no more Giant.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah. All right.
Con.
Okay. There's no more owls, and now the Giant is the fireman. Okay, got it.
Mark Frost strikes again.
No.
It's really hard to keep up with what Twin Peaks is.
I'm wondering if any of this story was improvised or not. I felt like the Beatles reference may have been improvised because it looked like it caught James Marshall off guard. Like that was a genuine laugh. It looked like.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just good at fake laughing.
I don't think James is really good at anything.
Aw, James Marshall?
I was kind of glad that he basically didn't have to talk the entire time.
Yeah.
I kind of like this scene with him, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he was silent.
Yeah. I love that we find out that Jimmy Marshall is a security guard at the Great Northern.
Yeah, somebody told me he was a janitor, and that didn't turn out to be true.
Maybe he actually pulls double duty.
Maybe.
Triple duty because he's also plays at the Roadhouse. So
That's just a hobby.
You don't think he gets paid for that?
Oh, I hope not. Don't quit your day job.
I thought it was kind of like sad but funny that he was like, "It's my birthday today. Tell me the story."
Yeah.
And it's like, did he lie to him just so he would be like entertained by like the story? I don't know.
Maybe
he's an extortionist.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe it's really.
Maybe that's what's waiting in the basement is actually a surprise birthday party.
Birthday cake.
It's a birthday party! Surprise!
It's just a mound of dirt with candles around it and Bob sitting.
Who invented the woodsman?
But yeah, speaking of a basement and a pile of dirt and candles around it and Bob, this whole him checking on the furnace reminded me of the end of the International Pilot, where they did just that, and they go to the basement of the hospital, and it's all like basement-y and industrial looking, just like this.
He's got candles all set up.
Mm.
Yeah, that's probably what Bob was doing. He was planning a birthday party, and then they just kind of wrecked it.
And then Mike came in and shot him.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we talk about timeline for a second?
Mm-hmm. Is it future or is it past, Sam?
Of course, yeah. So I've generally been one to really not go along with all these ideas or theories that we're seeing things out of chronological order. But as the series has progressed, I think that whole concept has gained a little more traction. And I was thinking about, we haven't seen Freddy since part 2 when he shows up at the Roadhouse and everybody was like, what's that green hand about? Yeah. And now here he is, and suddenly he's like one of the most important people on the show because, mark my words, he's going to arm wrestle Mr. C. But he shows up and he gives this really long story, and he's met the giant or the fireman, and he's like super important all of a sudden. And then they're talking about heading to the Roadhouse afterwards. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe after James checks out this furnace and everything, the part we see in part 2 where they arrive at the Roadhouse actually occurs after this.
What would be the point of that, though?
I don't know, but there have been a lot of instances where people have thrown out numbers or days or times that just have not lined up with...
I don't think that's intentionally messing with time as much as this show is badly put together.
Maybe. Tell if that, which is the case, yeah. I look forward to the end of the series so we can finally definitively say if this was badly edited or if there's time messing going on.
I know, it's exhausting thinking about.
And Freddy has like a weird destiny. Yeah, you guys mentioned that. Like he's supposed to do something. Maybe it's arm wrestle, but whatever it is, it's only going to be, I bet, one instance. It's going to be real quick, and then his that's what you were here for, and it'll seem like not that big a deal. I predict.
I think him and Nido are forming the Twin Peaks version of like the Justice League or the Avengers or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what Nido's power is.
Freaking people out. I don't know.
She's got some power. I don't know.
She can talk to fax machines.
Yes, that's great.
Unfortunately, no one uses fax machines.
I bet there's still one in the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Office.
Dr. Amp has one. Dr. Amp will always have one.
He's got every piece of tech. Then we go to Elks Point Bar, and
I've seen people on Facebook already made T-shirts
of this
place. Yes,
that was quick.
Already, like yesterday, I was like, "What? Like already?
Oh.
Come
on." Sarah Palmer, but is it Sarah Palmer or is it a Sarah Palmer doppelganger? Enters...
Let's review what she was wearing, though.
What was she wearing?
Say that. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just saying, it's got to be bad fashion for her to be doppelganger.
True. Yeah.
Ah.
Was she wearing a frumpy sweater?
I don't remember.
Yeah, she looked pretty normal.
It's not a great sweater, but
Does mediocre fashion count as
doppelganger territory?
But I mean, if that's the case, then everyone in this bar is a doppelganger times 5.
She enters and sits alone, and then a trucker jerk comes over, and what's his ultimate goal here? Is he just
rape?
Is he trying to sexually harass her, or is he just trying to harass her in any way he can? Or does he actually want to do something sexual with her? Either way, he's horrible.
Listen, this is shocker, a white dude with a fragile ego, gets turned away and immediately reacts with threats and violence. It's a very curious story, the likes of which the world has never seen.
Do you do this at bars a lot, Brad?
I not go to bars.
So I wasn't the worst. Yeah, I wasn't sad when she ate his neck.
No.
Well, I mean, I wasn't sad for him. I was sad for her because, I don't want that for Sarah Palmer. I don't want her to be evil. It's interesting.
I think she's been watching too many animal specials on National Geographic.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah. She just absorbs everything she watches on TV.
She bites his neck, then she punches him in the ear.
This dude had a comment. It's fine. Could we? I was like, wow, we haven't had any violence against women in a while. Oh well.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he was just a dick. There was no physical violence, not from him anyway, but I'm sure it would have come eventually had she not eaten his neck.
what do we think of this turn with Sarah Palmer?
Well, she can take her face off just like Laura can.
Yeah, and Laura's face, there was like light underneath, and hers
there's like a weird smile and weird fingers, like I don't know,
black finger.
It was like the ring finger was black and the rest of the fingers were not.
Yeah.
I saw on Twitter somebody said that was Frank Silva's smile.
Oh.
But that was just on Twitter. Who knows?
I've seen on Reddit that people were speculating that it was actually Laura's smile, I believe.
Oh.
From an earlier photo from the original series, but I'm not really sure.
Weird.
Who knows?
And the weird things poking out of her face, like they looked like little darts or something. People were thinking that maybe those were the legs of the moth frog bug thing.
Oh my god!
Flicking in and out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought we established that girl in 1957 or whatever year it was couldn't be Sarah Palmer because she would have been older.
Well, she seemed like she was maybe about 15 or 16 back in 1956 when that scene took place. So I don't think that would put her too old to be like believable.
I don't know.
I remember looking it up, and it seemed like it was a bit of a stretch, but I mean, who knows?
I mean, she did just take her face off, so anything is possible.
All right, then we go. Oh, and she pretends to freak out so that nobody suspects her, but then she drops that facade real quick.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite part. She's like, oh my god, did you do this? I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure is a mystery.
Yeah. Real weird. Yeah. Cool. You guys will be on my way.
Yeah. What was the point in pretending to be freaked out if you're not going to keep that up?
Because I feel like maybe actual Sarah Palmer was herself for a second and maybe actually didn't realize she did it, and then whatever is inside her just took control again, and it was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Maybe.
Yeah,
do we think it's the mother that's in control of her?
Maybe.
The experiment, the mother.
Experiment.
I think too, it just kind of reflects how she was freaking out in the grocery store too.
Yeah.
Just that same kind of thing where she's like, what's going on? What's happening? Oh wait, I'm back to being
Could
evil.
be that. Yeah.
Maybe it's the door-to-door salesman. And by that I mean the mother, but I'm changing the name of it now. Because that's what we do at this show.
All right, Mark.
And then the last scene is we go to the roadhouse, like we usually do at the end. And there's more people talking about just random stuff. Except it's a little bit less random this time, but still mostly random. We get mentions of Billy and Tina, which are names we've heard before. There's also a mention of Paula, who I don't think we've heard before.
We're with Tina's daughter, I mean.
Yeah.
We're in the thick of it now, guys.
And Tina's daughter hangs out at the nut house. Or she lives there, and there's a nut house wing to her house or something? I don't know. Don't go to the nut house area of your home.
Well,
and that house is what we call
there.
houses now. We changed that too.
So maybe this is that whole Audrey in a coma or Audrey crazy thing, and she works where Audrey is housed.
And there's an uncle, but we don't know if he was actually there.
Ooh, I've got something to say about that.
Oh.
Okay, so do you guys remember in Fire Walk With Me when Agent Chet Desmond and Sam Stanley were driving? I think it was in the driving scene after they'd seen Lil the dancing girl.
Yep.
And Chet Desmond was interrogating Sam about all the stuff that Lil was doing. And David Lynch's character says it's my mother's sister's girl or something like that.
Yeah.
And Chet asks what's missing from that statement, and Sam says the uncle. And she seems really concerned or confused about whether or not this uncle person was there. So I wonder if that has anything to do with what Chet said, but who knows?
I don't know how it could.
I don't either, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah. True.
You're very right. So that's basically the end. Then someone named Lissy.
She
plays a nice song.
Yeah, it was good. I like that.
Well, can we talk about what that ominous sound was when the one girl asks Tina's daughter, like, what's your mother's name? And then she responds Tina, and it gets like, there's like all of a sudden a really like deep, ominous tone happening and some like very dark looks exchanged. Then I'm like, what is all this about?
Right.
I thought that was just so that there was a pause so I could say, oh, wait, is she Audrey's daughter? And then they were like, my mother, Tina. I was like, oh, okay.
Tina's the one that Audrey
building you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, and they mentioned that Billy's face was bleeding, and then he ran away.
Yeah.
I mean, now here's a question of something that we might or might not resolve in the next 3 episodes. What's with all the zombie girl and the guy in the jail, and now this, and Billy's face and nose bleeding, all these people that are like having these weird, horrific, gross disease things happening?
We'll never know.
Will we ever know or not?
Is it connected to the sparkle drug? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's just a side effect of Black Lodge powers creeping in.
Because that's what I feel like. I feel like there's all this like creepiness is going on because there's dark stuff happening in Twin Peaks, and like things people just aren't remembering, or they're forgetting, or not noticing because of all the influence of that.
Yeah, it's like a more extreme version of the shaky hand.
Right. But I mean, will we address it again? Who knows?
We need someone to come in and chase the dark cloud away. Shoo, go away. Shoo, shoo.
Who's gonna do it?
I don't know. Andy
Ready.
so far.
Okay, that's basically the end of that episode. Sam, do you have a rating ready to go?
Yeah, so I'm going to give this one, so apart from one scene, I actually really, really liked this episode, so I'm giving it 9 out of 10 roast beef and cheese sandwiches.
What was the scene you didn't like?
The one where Chad got arrested. It was mostly just his dialogue felt really flat.
Yeah. Okay. Caitlin, what about you?
I really like this episode. It went by super quick for me because I was engaged the whole time. And it was nice to see the actual people in Twin Peaks getting involved with the mystery more, and with the whole Andy scene and stuff. Yeah, I don't have any complaints about this episode. Yeah, I give it 9 out of 10 Jubsworths.
That was a nice turn of phrase. Brad, what about you?
It's a lovely turn of phrase.
This is definitely one of the better episodes. I'm still under the malaise of the entire series, though. I don't know, I just feel like there's no stakes to this series. I feel like there's nothing really amping up, and I don't know that anything's gonna pay off. This is definitely one of the better episodes, though. I feel I would like it more if I cared more. But I don't know of anything happening that I particularly care about. But I liked this one. It was good. I liked Andy getting taken to meet the fireman. I love Green Glove guy. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. I'll say 7.5 out of 10 Mighty Gloves of Power.
Mel.
Yeah. This is like, I was just so shocked at this episode because it's like, just like getting right into the action. It's like you get like this one scene. It's like bam, surprise! Diane is Janie E's half sister, and then bam, surprise! Sarah Palmer has a face that she can take off.
Yeah.
You know, all this stuff, and I'm like, couldn't you have spaced this out over the more like boring episodes?
We're like, stuff's happening. What a treat!
What a treat! Like, but it's just too much stuff is happening this time.
Oh no, we've gone to the other extreme.
I'm not.
Do you know? Yeah. I really want to see a scene with both Janie E and Diane together.
Yes. Agreed.
I'm sure we'll see it.
Naomi Watts and Laura Dern.
Yeah, they're such polar opposites, I feel. Yeah. Anyways, that would be interesting. But anyways, despite me saying that, I still did enjoy it, and it was, it was better paced, I guess, than most episodes. So I would give it an 8 out of 10 pulverized walnuts. I think you should tell them about the scene that you showed one of your podcasting buddies there.
Yeah, I got somebody into the old Twin Peaks last year, or maybe early this year. They'd never watched it before, and then I got them to watch it. They really enjoyed it. And then when this new season started, they asked me about it. I'm like, don't bother. You'll hate it. Like, I know what he likes, and he would not like this. But I decided to show him just one scene. I showed him just the arm wrestling from the last episode, just so he could see what kind of character Evil Cooper is. And all I showed him was just the arm wrestling part. He's like, whoa, this is going on forever. And I'm like, this is only like 1/3 of this entire scene. You think this goes on forever? Like, you should watch the whole series. Yeah. Like, so yeah.
But don't watch it.
Don't. But yeah, he probably wouldn't like it. But yeah, that was his comment upon just seeing the arm wrestling portion of that whole Evil Coop scene.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting insight.
You should go back to the original series because the starting position is more comfortable.
Yeah, good one.
But
seriously.
Okay, so I'll give it. I really liked it too. This is probably my favorite episode, if not tied for favorite episode. But the way I'm ranking these, like, this is on a scale. Like, The Return is on its own scale. The other TV and the old Twin Peaks is on a different scale. So for The Return, I'll give this a 9 out of 10 skylight montages. But yeah, if this was like a regular TV show, maybe 7. But for The Return, this is really good.
I just keep coming back to, like, what are the stakes of this series? Because, like, I mean, other than, like, it's Cooper versus Evil Cooper, which that's not even a story that really happens. It's like so slow burn. I don't know if anything's happening with it or not. What are the consequences of anything right now?
Yeah, we don't know anyone's ultimate plan, like Philip Jeffries or Mr. C. Like, it'd be nice if we knew what they were after.
Or even if we could just see them going after something specific. It's like no one really has a goal. It's like, as the audience, we want Cooper back, theoretically. And we know that Evil Coop wants to not go back to the Black Lodge. But other than that, what does anyone really want? Like, what are we following?
Quit being such a normie.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like many of the characters have clear, defined goals.
I mean, I think that's just why there's such a lack of intensity to this series. Like, we have, like, crazy things like Sarah Palmer pulling off her face, which was awesome and crazy, but I'm like, I don't know that goes anywhere. Like, I don't feel... I don't know that if there was a threat or something. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, like, what does Steven and Becky want? Or what is Shelley and Red? Like, what's their goal?
If we just had a character that we know this person is in danger, and there's some drama around what's happening, but there's just not, and so it just feels so bland. Like, so that even exciting things like finding out that Sarah Palmer can take her face off and eat people, like, it just feels like, wow, that's another crazy thing that happens. But it doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel like we get the intensity that we could get from a scene like that if we knew that meant, oh no, that means X is gonna happen, or that means when she's alone with X, oh no.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something that Sabrina Sutherland said to me when I was talking to her at the fest, and I'm sure you've probably heard this before, but for what it's worth, it's coming from the producer. She's of course heard this kind of criticism too, that people are sort of disenfranchised with the lack of character goals and other things that you've mentioned. And she strongly emphasized to me that you will understand after seeing all 18 parts. So whether or not she's just tooting their own horn because it's kind of like a company investigating itself and finding nothing wrong, I don't know. But that is what she said. So
yeah, but that's
everybody's saying.
Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, but it's an 18-hour movie." Yeah, but if like the first 14 hours aren't that compelling, this is not a very good movie.
You're gonna drop out at some point. Not rarely do people stick around for. Some people walk out after a regular movie. So I can't imagine.
Even if you stick all the way through, even if the last 3 hours are absolutely amazing, I still can't imagine saying, well, it justifies all those other hours. It's going to be like, wow, that last part was really good. I'm glad I watched it. But it's not going to be like, oh, wow, that makes the first how many hours great.
Yeah, the last episode better be life-affirming at this point.
Season 2, episode 22.
That was a pretty good one. Alright, so let's get to our feedback. We've got one audio feedback. We might as well just play it right now. Do you mind doing that, Brad?
Sure. 1 moment.
This is from Chris JC, and it's titled Gore Blimey, Governor, and No Mistake.
And there you will find a record boy you have a garden.
Yeah.
One page will already be open.
I'm actually watching the scene right now with old little Freddie or Frankie, whatever his name is, from old London town there. And God blimey, love a duck, governor. I couldn't believe me old minced pies, could I? When I heard this old banter, this fella with his chit-chat coming off my telly box. Well, my old plates of meat, I had to get up and rewind it, didn't I? Oh, God, Crow, Tyburn Tree. Oh, British Empire. Oh, love a duck. Oh, yoke of oppression. Oh, God. Oh, ultra fucking blimey. I ain't got no feedback, by the way. That's it. Fine.
That's great. Amazing.
Yep. I can't tell if he took offense to that accent or.
Keep them coming, Chris. Keep them coming.
He can't do that. It's more than his job's worth.
Okay. Here's a short one from John Adams. Do you want to read it, Mel?
Yes. Love the podcast, even though I like the show quite a bit more than most of you. You're not alone. Anyway, episode 14 might be my favorite episode yet, at least of the new series. However, if a jail cell with a crooked cop and a blood-drooling parrot man is the best place in town you can think of for someone to stay, let me introduce you to Airbnb. Keep up the great work, John from Kansas. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people want to kill her, so they need those bars.
I still feel like it's a dangerous place.
Yeah. Here's a short one from Will, if anyone wants to read it.
Yeah, I can read it. Yay, I got to watch Twin Peaks on Sunday night this week. I don't really know what to say. Monica Bellucci as Monica Bellucci was interesting. I'm glad to see that we are one more step closer to Gordon finding Dougie. It was a shock to find out that Diane is related to Janie. We saw a lot of Twin Peaks. We got another new character and a little info about Billy and Tina from a few weeks ago. Overall, pretty good episode, but not as good as last week. Later, haters.
Oh, yeah.
Will. Interesting.
Whoa.
Here's a bigger one.
That is a lot of text.
Start.
Brad, you want to take it? It says,
sure.
Hello, Twin Peaks podcast, and it is from...
Oh, I see him.
It's from Ryan.
Okay. Hello, Twin Peaks podcast. Last week, I dedicated my entire feedback to only things I liked. Ellipses, no space. Which was nothing. This week, I will do the same. Only positive things. What an episode! ! It was amazing. I actually felt like I was watching Twin Peaks. What a change of pace! ! I love the scene in the hotel where a window washer is squeegeeing the windows and Gordon's hearing aid was going crazy. I rewound that scene several times just to see Lynch's reactions. I suggest everyone do it. It would make for some great memes. It was very comical.
He also had like a weird little whimper that I heard. He's like,
Yeah. It actually does say it in the subtitles too that he whimpers.
Nice. I also didn't mind Monica Bellucci being just thrown in. I wish
Monica
it was.
Bellucci?
Oh God. That's a terrible mixer. Ugh. Ugh. She would really hate herself.
She married him.
Oh, gross. Poor Monica Bellucci. I don't mind her being just thrown in a dream sequence. Then we get to the heart of the episode. The TP Sheriff's Department discovering the vortex. This is the scene where I really felt like I was watching Twin Peaks. Characters I recognize and music in the background to set the tone. Lynch could have easily made this scene about UFOs and aliens. Oh. Although I think that would be a Mark Frost scene. Although it could still be aliens, but I think the vortex effect was better. It was great that Andy was taken to wherever to meet the firemen. Everyone stop saying the firemen like it's a thing. Stop it. Oh. One would assume Hawk or even Bobby would have been taken, but I like how it was Andy. Why did it take so long for the sheriff to finally get around to arresting Chad? Is the blood-drooling drunk in the jail cell that guy Billy that Audrey and the complaining millennials at the end of the Roadhouse are talking about?
Not according to the credits.
Question for the group. I know Mr. C wasn't in the episode. What if he was hiding? What if we didn't see him? What if he was under a blanket? You don't know. But I want to know what everyone thinks is Mr. C's motivation besides not returning to the Black Lodge. He's had 25 years running around.
We were just wondering about that.
Yeah. What has he been doing besides impregnating Audrey? Did he know he would have to return to the Black Lodge at some point? Did he know it was 25 years? Has he been planning on combating his return to the Lodge all this time? There's so much backstory to how we got to the beginning of Season 3. I wish Frost would have put this in that book. Any thoughts, guys, on what this guy's been up to for 25 years? Doesn't seem like much.
I think he did know because of that whole car crash thing. He was trying to kind of thwart it or whatever. He was just trying to,
thwart that part. Yeah. But we did see one bit of info from the intervening years where he had like some sort of like Miami Vice mansion.
Grand Theft Auto.
I think other than like setting up the whole Dougie thing and
acquiring millions.
Yeah, I think these guys been making duplicates but other than that, I really don't know what the hell he's been up to except having his like white trash FBI set up. But yeah, I think that's one of the issues I have. Another question. In episode 1, the giant firemen many exclamation points told Cooper to remember Richard and Linda. We've seen a Richard, but there are only 4 hours left, and we haven't seen a Linda. Do you think we will?
No.
I do.
Maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't. The Sarah Palmer scene was very interesting, and makes me think she was the girl who swallowed the frog moth. Perhaps in some way she gave birth to the dark, Bob, and the light, Laura. I love this episode and feel like this is what we should have been seeing all along. The Lynch fans who prefer 2 minutes of sweeping and screensaver scenes probably hated this episode. No, they love everything regardless. Don't worry, I'm sure they love it because they don't hate anything. Well, they've had 13 hours of crap to love. Let me have 1 hour. I didn't even mind the complaining millennials in the Roadhouse or the time-wasting music performance, because all I could hear during that performance was Handel's Messiah blaring Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I give it, and there's also an exclamation point there just for the record, I give it 9 blood-drooling drunks out of 10. Let's hope this pace continues in episode 15.
I mean,
agreed.
It has to, right?
Does it?
Yeah,
4 hours left.
Yeah.
Don't. Everybody, let's temper those expectations.
Sam, do you mind reading one? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Sure, I'll read one.
All right. This is from...
Oh boy. So greetings from Spain, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Greetings from Spain. I've been listening to your podcast since it started, and now I've decided to give you some feedback. Please forgive my faulty English. I understand most of your complaints about the new season, and I share many of them. Too many characters, too little character development. At this pace, there's not enough time to bring all the stories to a closure, and not much of a peaky feel to it, and everything is needlessly slow.
This guy's English is shit.
I know, it sucks. Dude, go back to school.
Blimey, governor.
Oh, blimey, I can't understand a word he's talking about.
It's more my job's worth.
I believe.
Okay, so he goes on to say, to these, I would add that the story doesn't really work as a story because we don't see most of the important stuff actually happening. Instead, we constantly have people talking about it, like Malcolm Sloan, because it happens somewhere in the past. There's little conventional drama that arises from interactions between characters. The worst of it for me comes when it's pure exposition, like at the beginning of Part 7. Curiously, something that not a lot of people complained about then. Give me a disconnected, crazy scene like Richard Horne killing a child, or Ben flirting with Beverly and hearing strange noises anytime, better than blah 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 about what took place years ago. It's very curious to me that two experienced screenwriters end up creating such an awkward script. However, in spite of all my problems with the show, I'm really enjoying it. It's true that it would be more entertaining if it was like the old Twin Peaks, but that doesn't mean it doesn't provide its own enjoyable stuff. I'm usually interested in the disconnected scenes by themselves and appreciate their mystery and weirdness. Perhaps it's only mood and nothing else, but it always makes me want to see more, and I'm always curious about how this or that is going to turn out. The whole thing feels like a giant puzzle to be figured out. And there's some lightness and humor, which I always feel thankful for, especially after experiencing Inland Empire, which I didn't enjoy at all. Agreed. I like each one of the Dougie scenes. The problem lies for me in the accumulation of them. I also think that, flawed as it is, remains hugely original and different to other TV shows. So that's my take. Thank you guys, and keep up the good work.
Thanks very much, Pablo.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting in contact after all these years.
Yeah.
And good English, you're fine.
Yes, you're perfectly fine.
You're so much better than many of the emails we read.
It's true.
This is from Carrie. Hi all. I love this podcast, and have I'm going to say that's found. It says
Yes.
find. And have found you guys to be the only group that will admit that the Emperor has no clothes on. This show has a lot of problems. Our lead protagonist, Cooper, is a vegetable and has been almost the entire season. Our lead antagonist, Evil Coop, is consistently MIA. Not that it matters, since the show does very little with him. He shows up on screen, talks in menacing vagaries, and then travels to another location. With those two characters being almost non-factors in the major story progression, we're left with the supporting cast to push the story along. The problem is we spend what feels like entire episodes of the characters catching up with information that we as the viewer already know.
No, literally entire episodes.
Yep. And to the absurdly long takes of actors looking at each other and 5 to 7 minutes of musical performance. And surely your detractors can see why us Twin Peaks fans are concerned. No, they can't see. They don't.
They will never see.
Never.
With that being said, episode 14 was superb. It finally moved the story along and felt more like Twin Peaks and less like unnamed David Lynch project. You guys keep up the good work and never be afraid to speak your minds. Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie. We will forever speak our minds. Will not be silenced. Does somebody mind reading Harold's?
Whoa.
I can do it. Or does Caitlin want to do it?
It's up to you. I mean, I'm happy to read it, Mel.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let you read it.
Give them all to me! Just kidding. Okay. There's so much to unpack in this episode, but your quick turnaround time for feedback just leaves me time for questions. Why was Chad arrested? He wasn't told. Was it for eating in the conference room, bringing donuts into the bathroom, or excessive farting in no farting zone? Good points. How do you charge someone for killing herself, especially when you don't even have a body? I think Duffy killed herself because she had the world's worst lawyer.
Man, Harold, you're just gunning to be these people's lawyer.
So am I getting this right that had Cooper held on to Nida when she flew off the power station, he would have ended up safely in Twin Peaks as himself?
Oh, maybe.
And this could have been a 6-episode season instead? Are we seeing the original Sarah Palmer or a doppelganger? If it is Sarah Palmer, how long has she been possessed? I'm thinking that she was possessed sometime after the events of the original series, is drinking to cope with it, and is being controlled by electricity coming through the ceiling fan and TV. In any event, I'd like to see a scene where Richard Horne tries to steal her silverware.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Why didn't Truman specify that the diary said that the good Cooper is in the lodge? Why didn't Gordon tell the Vegas G-Man that Douglas Jones is married to a woman named Janie? Why didn't he confirm that the E stands for Evans? Why did it seem like Gordon and Albert were only now remembering that Philip Jeffries' visit in 1989? You would think that would be a memorable thing that happened to them.
I bet you there was a vortex on top. That's why, because people seem to forget when the vortex is around.
Yeah.
Tiny vortex above Jeffries' head.
Well, how else did Jeffries make it there?
Yeah.
He had to come by vortex.
Yeah. There's a vortex in the elevator.
Yes.
Why Andy? You know what? That one I don't need an answer for. It was perfect that it was Andy who got to go see the firemen, and that he came back knowing exactly what to do. Although I'm not convinced that the jail cell will be enough to protect her from whoever is coming. Or the junk in the other cell. They'd better deputize Wally Brando. Prediction. Mr. C is going to get his face smashed in by Glove Boy. This is the ending we have all been dreaming about for 25 years.
That would be insane if that was the end of Evil Comedy.
This is exactly what I thought would happen.
Yeah.
That was 9 very well-used commas as well. Thank you very much, Harold.
Okay, I'll read this one, unless Caitlin wants to read it.
I could speed read it if you really wanted to.
There's more that Mel can read if you don't want to read a big one, Mel.
Oh, I don't care. I don't care.
Alright.
I'll read it. Caitlin can have the next one. I'll give you a little break, Caitlin. Hello, TP podcast folk. Regarding Matt's comment in the last podcast about feeling trolled, I felt that way since at least episode 4. I remember having a growing unease about what Lynch Frost's intent was for the series as early as episode 1, but the feeling we were being actively trolled solidified with the incredibly long Wally Brando scene. Remember 10 or so episodes ago when you guys were predicting Dougie would only be around for 2, possibly even 3 more episodes? Weren't those great times? How about every scene in the Roadhouse?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, they are most definitely trolling us. That said, the latest episode might be the most satisfying episode of the series thus far. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's the best or even good. We've transcended concepts of good and bad, the same way Lynch has transcended plot, noble characters, audience interest, and coherency. This episode actually moved along like it had a story to tell, and developed the stories of known characters without introducing a cavalcade of disposable ones. Amazingly, they developed a previously unexplained character, Glove Guy, and actually gave him motivations and backstory, albeit with the typical ham-handed exposition that is so common to this season. In case it isn't clear, I like this episode quite a bit. Here in episode 14 of 18, they have started to lay the foundation of a story with character agency. There's still the obligatory Lynch with a beautiful woman scene, over-the-top disposable characters, awkward conversations, etc. and such, but for once they were overshadowed by scenes with shit happening. The Sarah Palmer scene was especially great. Actor Grace Zabriskie is amazing, basically playing a similar character to the possessed woman she played in the show Outcast. I really like Gordon Cole as a character, but I'm wondering if Lynch intended him to be a surrogate/replacement Cooper for this series. On a completely unrelated topic, several episodes ago, Gordon's office had 3 pictures hanging: a blown-up picture of the first atomic bomb test, pun intended, a picture of an ear of corn, and a picture of Franz Kafka. The bomb test is fairly self-explanatory after episode 8, while the ear of corn could be a reference to Garmonbozia and or the corn in Hawk's map. I think the picture of Kafka is a reference to Kafka's Metamorphosis, in which a man transformed into a bug, which I think is a reference to both the frog moth crawling into the girl's mouth, as well as the transformation people like Leland Palmer undergo. My pet theory is that Gordon is actually much more knowledgeable and wily than he lets on, using this eccentric facade to distract people from realizing he's a master spy and lawman. I think he uses his hearing aids to eavesdrop on people and to detect eavesdroppers, as well as to give him an excuse to shout out information he wants others to overhear.
It's like that commercial for Sonic Hearing.
Yeah. It actually works, guys.
It's like FBI tech.
Yeah, but he bought it at the As Seen on TV store.
Yes. He has elaborate coded message protocols using keywords, phrases, and women in ridiculous clothes, acting like lunatics. Lynch loves giving characters attributes that are never directly addressed, and it might be reasonable to believe he would go over the top with the character he plays. Anyway, your podcast is great, and it's great to hear your thoughts on the show. I, too, am frustrated, and more than a little disappointed with the show. I, too, do not trust Lynch, and don't appreciate his self-indulgent, masturbatory approach to the show. I really like that people say it's masturbatory. If the rest of the series moved along as nicely as this last episode and culminated into a highly satisfying martial arts showdown between the actual Cooper, or Dougie, and the forces of good versus bad Cooper, and the forces of evil, I still don't think it could salvage the season as a whole. Even if the rest of the series were objectively the greatest things ever filmed, it couldn't undo the damage already done and convince me the return was good. We just said this. It's like you were listening to us in the future.
Maybe they have sonic hearing.
Yes.
It listens through time.
Yes. I suppose in a universe of infinite possibility that there is a way to finish the show in such a way that it ties everything together and makes me appreciate the journey that led us to the culmination, where I feel that every moment of every episode was well spent towards building an amazing climax. I hold no such illusions, however, but here's hoping. Keep up the good work and brace for the end, Glenn.
Oh.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, Glenn.
My jaw hurts now.
Yeah, that was a lot. Oh my god.
Go, Caitlin. Go!
This one's super long, too.
Maybe we need to take it in sections.
Maybe we need to impose a character limit on people's feedback.
Like Twitter, like only like 120 characters or something.
I don't know. Brad, you're a writer. How many characters should we limit them to?
I would never limit our audience.
Right.
You're way nicer than that.
Alright.
I will talk shit about them during their feedback, though.
Well, maybe I should give you this long one to read then.
Alright.
You gonna take it? Alright.
Sure.
Dan.
Hey guys, just some stray notes on the story up to episode 13. 2 owl sightings. Really? Both were flying over Dougie's house. One flew over the first night Cooper arrived, and another during the day. You can make out its shadow over his roof. What? When was this?
Which episode?
Yeah. Somebody get a screenshot of the second owl. I need to check on this.
It's episode 13 feedback, not 14.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Were these used by Mr. C to watch Dougie's movements, or by Mike to keep an eye on and protect Cooper? Cooper's odd behavior. The drawings Cooper kept making earlier this season were staircases and then a large downward swoop. This reminded me of the stairs and ladders he climbed in space, followed by his falling down to Earth and into the...
Is he like reviewing the entire series?
These are stray notes. That's what he said. Stray notes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was just confused. It's okay. Keep going. Sorry.
Followed by his falling down to Earth and into the glass box, where his drawings ended in a dark black scribble. Since Mike can see the past and future, he probably guided his hand with the light we saw directing Cooper where to make certain lines. So he made the notations in a way that would keep him employed at Lucky 7 and ultimately save his life. Then there's the massage he gave Anthony. Okay. There was a brief zooming shot of Anthony's entire back and his dandruff stretched shoulder to shoulder, looking like a starry night. I'd bet Cooper was captivated by the stars he saw. Objection, Your Honor. This is hearsay. He saw and retraced his steps from the fireman. Everyone's just using that word fireman. Fireman to the electrical room. Before this week, had anyone ever said the word fireman?
Yes. Since episode 8.
But were people just... I mean, I know it was in the episode, apparently, but this is the first week I'm hearing this. Mm-hmm. All right. To the electrical room, to the Black Lodge, and back to Earth, moving and pressing his fingers with a confused purpose, one that Mike was also, I suspect, guiding. The military station. Years ago, Garland took Bobby to the military installation he was working at just outside of Twin Peaks. If Bobby was around 8 back then, and maybe 18 when he left off in season 2, that means 10 years after Bobby saw a lot of machines, as he says. It's possible Garland and his team finished a prototype of the glass box that we saw perfected in New York. Hearsay. Back then, Bob would have known about that site and whatever these machines were because we saw multiple power lines running through the area when Bobby took Hawk, Andy, and Truman there. So at the very least, Bob would have been aware of that, of what Briggs was up to, and a reason to see Briggs. Maybe Briggs and his machine was his ticket out of the Black Lodge once and for all. Flash forward 25 years, and we heard Mr. C visited Garland sometime after leaving the hospital and just before leaving town. Bob, through the guise of Cooper, would have asked Garland to take him there. Garland, trusting the man he thought was Cooper, told him about the creature they found appear in the machine during one of their experiments with the machine, hence the name Lynch gave to this thing. Mr. C would need confirmation from... Boy, I just really painting a picture here. Like, this is... Oh, well, then clearly this would have happened. And therefore... Alright, Mr. C would need confirmation from Garland that this was what he was after, so he had Garland sketch it on a playing card, like we saw Mr. C show to Daria. That card looked very old and beat up, too. So it's possible this is where Mr. C picked it up 25 years ago. Who knows? Maybe one of the men at the station was playing solitaire to pass the time while watching the box. Now you're guessing what people were playing while watching the box. All right.
Do we want... I mean, there's so much more of this. Do we want to finish it? I mean, Dan, I appreciate... Okay. Brad wants to finish it.
But I'm curious now.
All right.
Anyway... Once Mr. C had what he needed, he could have tested the box on... It's still going! Oh, okay. I thought we were into a new sketch. Alright. Anyway, once Mr. C had what he needed, he could have tested the box on Garland, who multiplied a dozen times over before disappearing exactly like we saw happen to Cooper in the premiere. That would be why Colonel Davis told Lieutenant Knox that they saw over a dozen sets of fingerprints from 1989 to 2014. Maybe multiple versions of him were sent all over the country at different points in time for us, but always at the age he was when he went in the machine. With Briggs gone, Mr. C would be free to take anything he needed there in order to duplicate the machine at a later time, so he burned the place down and left Twin Peaks.
We're reading fan fiction.
Yes! Yes!
It's lightly supported fanfiction. When he amassed the money to recreate the glass box in New York, he hired people like Mr. Todd and others to oversee his operations. It was all to cover the cost of building a better mousetrap to catch the experiment, the thing that vomited him into existence. I'm going to read it now as a really bad Vincent Price.
Oh my God.
So many headless people, Ruth Davenport. So many headless people. So many headless people. Ruth Davenport was decapitated. Her body was left naked by the portal she used. Garland Briggs was decapitated. His head is still missing, and his naked body was with Ruth's head. Bill Hastings may have been forced to arrange that scene in that particular way, and then they forgot it, remembering it only as a dream, like how others in this season can't recall their experiences. Speaking of naked bodies, ellipses. Now we're in a parenthetical, by the way. For the next paragraph, friends, we're living in a parenthetical. If this show is using Terminator rules, then you can't go in and out of certain places with inorganic matter. Why are we going into Terminator rules? Could be why Garland swallowed Dougie's ring to make sure it could be picked up by the police when he went through one last time. But, I mean, honestly, that's not the worst idea. But still, why? But then why was Andy and Cooper able to keep their clothes on? Whatever. That's another discussion. End parenthetical. The woodsman in the jail cell had his head popped off and float away. The woodsman killed people by squeezing their head, which is weird and gross, by the way. Dougie Jones was decapitated and then turned into a little moon that became a gold pearl. Also weird, but less gross. Even Johnny Horn's therapy bear was decapitated! ! It was also the most upsetting of the bunch. The head, by the way, was identical to the character from Dumbland. Oh. Sparkle, the new drug in town. The drug Raid is pushing may have a lot of consequences depending on who in town has touched the stuff. It may let you see things that aren't there, or see alternate realities. Does that mean Sparkle might be a substance that either connects you to or even comes from another dimension? Maybe Mr. C had Red push it in order to create pain and suffering everywhere he went, so he could have all that Garmenbosia for himself.
Garmenbosia.
Episode 13. I'm sure you made the joke already, but Andy taking the break to watch a recap of Twin Peaks from a pine cone genie bottle was fun. Is the fireman named the Fireman because he put out a fire once that broke out in the Black and White Space Hotel, or because he's kind of a gatekeeper of the good and bad fire that Hawk was talking about, letting people to and from places in time and space depending on their intentions? Could the fireman be the good version of the giant who is in the Black Lodge? But didn't the giant always help Cooper? Isn't the fireman also doing that now? Were they one and the same? If they are, then why does he get a new name this season? Thank you. Oh my god, this show sometimes. Love the. Just for the record, I'm not doing this is not my best Vincent Price. This is my rendition of Dan Harmon's really awful Vincent Price. Just for the record, but it's much funnier. Love the interdimensional jailhouse sing-along pajama party! ! The monkey noises were a nice mirror to the dog barking Bobby and Mike were doing in the original series. Stupid Chad. He was suspected of being a dirty cop all this time. Don't you go on suspension for that? Or at least, pending an investigation? Instead of being allowed to goof off in the conference room, fiddle with the mail, and carry a damn gun? Thanks, guys. Love the podcast. Dan from Hollywood, looking at you all with spider's eyes. By the way, if we find out now that the fireman is Log Lady's husband, I'm done.
That's what a lot of people were thinking, because I think he was a firefighter. I think.
Yeah.
Dan, I love you, but that was super long.
That was real random.
Yeah, maybe you guys should banish feedback that's that long. That was intense.
I love though how Matt was right before this. Matt was like, "We should put a character limit." Brad was like, "No," and then we totally made Brad eat his words.
I'll take it. Listen.
Or was it?
The price you pay is I'm gonna talk shit about you during your feedback.
We got more dogs.
Yay!
Wow!
I get to watch this episode with a cute dog. I was real happy.
Aww.
Whoa!
Yay!
So some of the white one is from Jessica, and the other two are from.
Is that all she
Ben.
sent? She sent just.
She just sent dogs.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's
You
nice.
call Jessica.
And who's the other one from?
The other one is from Ben, who attached feedback to his. So who was going to read this? Who was up next? Was it Caitlin or?
It's Caitlin. My jaw hurts, and
Okay.
I'm sure Brad's jaw hurts, and I'm sure there's a puddle of spittle right in front of Brad.
This is the last one. This is our last feedback.
Okay.
Right.
Hello, podcast crew and guest. Ben here with another round of last-minute, poorly thought-out feedback. Well, this episode definitely had a lot packed in it as far as major reveals and plot developments are concerned. Some admittedly worked much better than others, but this episode certainly kept things interesting. I think what I liked best was Andy's no-nonsense approach to his interdimensional movie experience. He seemed to understand everything and handle his Black Lodge dealings way better than Coop ever did. Also, I would have made big bets we weren't seeing that spooky eyeless lady again. I was surprised how well this whole scene worked. The only part that fell flat was Hawk and Truman assuring each other, and quite obviously the audience, that they didn't know what happened. While I'm trying hard to reserve judgment about plot developments until the end, Sarah Palmer's reveal was disappointing to me. Grace Zabriskie has, in my opinion, the most terrifying line delivery and overall performance out there, so having her take her face off is actually less scary and unnerving to me. I also find her as an alien or pan-dimensional being or whatever infinitely less interesting than a woman who's gone through a traumatic experience and has slightly psychic sensitivity. I'm sure
that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure there's something about her change in that last episode of season 2 and some stuff from the book at play here, but it just starts to feel X-Files-y.
Ooh.
Also, this was far and away the best performance James Marshall has ever delivered on this series. I realize that this isn't the highest bar to measure up to, but still I thought he was way better here than he ever was in season 1 and 2. Little glimpses like this one into the current lives of the old characters are really nice, and it's a shame we won't get nearly enough of them. I'd say we are officially at the point where it becomes clear that the most plot threads will be left hanging. Unfortunately, I think the answers we get from here on in will range from disappointing to downright frustrating. I have been, and continue to be, enjoying The Return, but there's no answers out there that can be satisfactory for this series. It's a bit ironic that David Lynch and Mark Frost are actively doing what they fought so hard not to do 25 years ago, on solving the mysteries of the series. For my money, the unknown will always be more intriguing and frightening than any monster you can see. This brings me to my final point. I'm very glad this exists. It's not like anything else out there, and I really love how bold it is. There are so many other places to go for tight storytelling and more active pacing. This is the one place in TV where truly anything can happen. Attached is a picture of both my dogs as a form of payment for all you do. Thanks for being the best.
Aww. Payment accepted.
Indeed. I would snatch up those dogs in a second.
Throw them in the van. All right. Well, thanks everyone for your feedback.
Yes.
And thanks, Sam, for joining us. It's been a long time. You asked if you could be a guest in like 2014 when you started with the test, and we've kept our word. 3 years later, here you are.
It's a long time coming, yeah.
I know.
I think I asked to be a guest when The Missing Pieces came out.
Yeah, and that was like
how much 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I had your business card in my wallet for God knows how long, too.
I gave you a business card?
Yeah, you did, of like the candy shop.
Was that?
Okay. So I had that in my wallet for like, I don't know, a couple of years at least, and I kept reminding Matt every so often about you.
Nice.
The candy shop is known internationally now, apparently.
Oh.
All right, well,
there you go.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Sure. So for everyone listening out there, if you're not on Reddit already, you should join us. So we are at reddit.com/r, that's the letter R, /Twin Peaks. So reddit.com/r/Twin Peaks. Right now, there's about 56,000 subscribers to the page, so I think that makes us the biggest Twin Peaks community out there. So yeah, join the Reddit page and join the conversation. I'm one of the moderators, and my username is ISWITT or ISWIT.
Nice. That's a huge community.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people.
It's amazing.
Brad, what's new with you?
Guys, you can hear me talking about the fashions of Quantum Leap with Claire and Tammy on Calavici Fashion Cast. Having a good time there. Also, you can hear me on the Ramjack podcast talking about all sorts of shenanigans. I don't know what we're going to be talking about because we haven't recorded yet. So it'll be fun. Check it out.
Cool. Nice. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week for episode 15. Later.
Bye.
Later.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on twitter.com/TwinPeaksCast. Search for the Twin Peaks Podcast group on Facebook, and visit us on twinpeakspodcast.blogspot.com. Email your feedback to twinpeakspodcast@gmail.com.
And I see